So today we have Mukur Gupta who will be sharing his experience from his study abroad journey to US. So welcome Mukur.
Thank you, Vishal sir, for having me. I'll try to answer as many questions as possible.
Yeah, sure. So let's start with our some questions that we prepared for you. So how was your decision making of this study abroad journey? So I see from your LinkedIn profile that you studied at IIT Kharagpur and then you went to US. So could you just guide us a bit?
Yeah, sure. So I think like the decision-making process was mostly when I was working in industry, and I worked for 2 years after I graduated from IIT Kharagpur, and that's when I realized that I think a lot of learning process that I wanted to do that cannot be done in an industrial environment. That can only be done in academic environment. And my previous internships also pushed me towards my pre-final year internship was a bit research focused, so that gave me a flavor of how research might look like, which I couldn't find in the industry. So like a big reason why I decided to pursue academia again, that was the reason why I did
Sure.
that.
And how did you choose which colleges to apply for your higher studies?
Yeah, so that is, I think, a nuanced process. Firstly, I think it's very advisable to do a proper research on the program requirements. For example, I'm from mechanical engineering background and I wanted to apply to computer science programs. So a lot of universities have a strict criteria that they would straight away reject uh, students applying from non-CS undergrad. So it's wasting as good as wasting money for applying when you're applying to those programs. So it's better to do that kind of research about the programs. And second kind of research is you have to look up on the LinkedIn and other platforms what kind of profiles in the past have been accepted into those schools and into those programs. And if let's say some programs accept profiles which are let's say super research oriented, and for instance, if I don't have any research background, it's not advisable to go for those programs. So do program research on which is readily available on the university websites, and secondly, do a more thorough in I'd say LinkedIn search. If let's say you want to go to Columbia, just type in Columbia MSCS. Look at last 5 years who are the students who have been accepted into those. Look at their undergrad, look at their CGPA, look at their industrial experience, look at the research, and you'll have a fair enough idea.
Sure. So how many colleges did you apply to for your specific case?
I ballpark, I think I applied to 9 or 10 colleges. Yes.
And you had to get probably some English test, some recommendation
Yes.
letter. What were the
Yes.
documents needed in general? Could you throw some light on
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Sure. So basically, the whole process it starts 1 year before basically when you want to go. So most of the applications they open around deadlines around November, December, and if you want to let's say target for next November, December, now is the good time to start planning at least because you would need GRE. GRE is not compulsory in all universities. Some of them have optional GREs, but it's highly recommended because GRE is something which is basically in your control. The process is quite random. GRE is something which is in your control. You can study and get higher score as much as possible. So get a good GRE score. Then IELTS or TOEFL. It's the strict qualification criteria. You should get a good score over there. And then SOP. SOP is basically telling your own story that I've done this and I've done that, and this is my ambition, and this is why I want to apply to your school, and this is why I should be accepted to your school and your program. SOP, and then of course, resume is along with the SOP, and then there are 3 recommendation letters which are required. Uh, if you are, let's say, coming directly out of college, 4th year, you can take recommendation letters from your professors as well as internship advisors with whom you did your internships. And if you've worked for 2 years or 3 years in industry, that's why it's able to take a combination of industrial as well as academic recommendation letters. So that's essentially what's needed. And if, of course, if you are applying to research-based programs, you need research papers or research heavy resume. And if you are applying to professional programs, you would need some industrial experience, etc. So on and so forth.
Sure. And you applied to, let's say, 9, 10 colleges roughly. So all of them had some application also, or some of the application fee were waived also.
I think all of them. I requested waiver for a few of the. I mean, I requested waiver for a few of the colleges, but I think I don't remember clearly. But as far as I remember, I didn't get a waiver for any of them.
Okay, so it's like $1,500 roughly that you will incur for each application. So the budget needs to be has to include this kind of application fee also probably for each college.
Yes, even some colleges might go up to $150 as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah, maybe
yeah,
average 50 to
yeah,
100.
100. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
maybe
yes, yes,
some
yes,
maybe cheaper, some maybe a bit expensive, but
yes,
yeah, average.
yes.
Yeah. So let's say $100 to $10,000 should be the application fee budget, let's say, and the GRE TOEFL is like another $1,000 probably.
Yes, sir. I don't remember the cost for GRE TOEFL, but it's around that, I guess. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Because then, and all the applications were online, right? You didn't have to courier any document or something. It was all like online done.
Yeah, it's completely online. Yes.
Okay, okay, sure, sure, sure. Okay, and then once your this application processes were done, you would have got offers from few of the colleges out of that 9, 10 colleges. So, how many offers you? I mean, did you bag and like how did you choose? Which is the bullseye that you want to go?
I had four offers specifically, and like among the four offers I got, the one I chose to go at Columbia was an obvious choice, quite an obvious choice. So because of
So,
the specific research that I'm interested in, the CS department over is like pretty good for
so
that.
the ranking also played a role here in deciding the college. Your research interest was taking over the ranking.
So I feel there are two factors actually. One is university's general ranking, which is either US News ranking or QS ranking. You can have a look at that. But if you are, for example, I can talk about if you're, let's say, talk about research specific programs or masters in computer science, or there are some general professional masters and there are MS or research based masters. I would say for research based masters, you should look at the department ranking because department rankings are usually different from the university rankings. University rankings are also driven by, let's say, if university has a very good MBA school. So as I was saying, if some schools might have very good law schools or business schools that might push their ranking up in QS, but their CS department or let's say XYZ engineering department might not be so good. So you might want to look at the specific department rankings as well while deciding which colleges to go to.
Sure, sure, sure. Okay. And after your decision was done for the college and the course, etc., all applications done, you had to probably apply for some visa documentation or something like that.
Yes, yes. Visa process is a bit, I think, new and very challenging for the students because there are a lot of steps in the process and it's not documented properly. Uh, like after you get an admit, you basically get an I-20 form. I-20 form is basically US government's form which tells you that, I mean, which also is university admit acceptance and which would allow you to get a visa slots. And based on that, you basically firstly fill out a form, which is known as DS-160, which has all the details, like your name, background, etc., etc. And then you have to fight for getting a visa slot, which is extremely difficult because visa slots, they open and they are gone like that, like within seconds. So you have to be very prompt, and the website is very difficult to work with. Uh, so once you get the visa slots, then you've got to prepare all the financial documents. Financial document is another big thing because in I-20 they mention the cost that you need to have. I mean, the amount of worth or liquid money that you need to show uh, to be able to get a visa. It would include the tuition fees for the first year, and it would also include the approximate living expenses. And for private universities, it can go up to 80 lakhs, 90 lakhs, 70 lakhs, 80 lakhs, which is a very big amount for if you convert into INR. Of course, in USD, it's not a very big deal, but in INR, it turns out to be a very big deal. So then you've got to arrange all that money in, or you can also show education loan amount. I did that, and you've got to link that in a savings account, take a bank statement that you've got this much amount, and all that needs to add up to that amount, and that's all you collect. These are the financial documents. Then you have all the, for example, income statements of your parents, etc., etc., and that's what you take to the visa interview. Of course, I'm taking it up on a very high level.
And how was your visa interview? Were you nervous? How was that interview process? Some questions maybe you can share.
Yeah, nervous for sure. And I was nervous, and I think visa. I was told, and I also realized later that visa interview also depends a lot upon the universities you get admit from. I got an admit from Columbia, which is like an Ivy League well-known university. So I was told that it's very, very rare that they would reject your visa application. But typically, the questions that I was asked as well was to just show the finances. How am I planning to finance my education? And then why I have chosen Columbia University, specifically why I've chosen computer science program over there, and what are my plans after completing my masters. And yeah, that were pretty much, I guess. My interview was not a grilling one.
Short interview, like 5-10 minutes.
No, it was actually 1 to 1.5 minutes. And the interview just said, enjoy your time in New York. Welcome to US.
Okay. Okay. Oh, so he already gave you like an affirmation that okay,
Yes.
almost you got
You,
the
you get
visa.
an offer. You get an affirmation right away. They keep your passport. If you get a rejection, they will return your passport right away.
Oh, it's like that, right? In any interview process, they will either accept your passport or reject the passport right away. Like
Yes.
only you know that you are accepted or rejected.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Which,
good to know.
if they're keeping your passport, which means they're keeping it to stamp it. If they're giving it back, then you can take it back, which means that they've rejected that completely.
Okay, okay, I see. And this whole visa process, the appointment booking to the visa getting stamped, was like how long was the process?
I would say maximum 1.5 month, 1 to 1.5 month.
Okay,
But of course, the background process around finances and all this, it starts right from when you get an admit.
okay, okay, sure. So once you get the admit and you, let's say, decided your college, etc., you have
Yeah,
to find a
start
slot
this.
totally for the visa, and in the meantime, also collect all the documents ready, make all the documents
Yes.
ready, and be prepared
So set of
for the
documents you
interview.
also have to submit to a university. Uh, like you have to
Okay,
submit a deposit fee as well to reserve your seat. If, like, for example, if you've got admits from multiple universities, you'll submit a deposit fee to one of the university to reserve your seat, and you'll also submit your. That's when they ask for verification documents as well. They'll contact the registrar of your university, undergrad university, to make sure that you have not forged, or to verify the transcripts and everything. And
yeah.
that's when you have to submit
At,
the
at least
financial
they will
documents as well.
at least they will tell you that they are doing this so that you don't dare to forge also.
Yes, yes,
Sure, sure.
yes,
Anyway, I mean, the document will be in general not forged, I guess. That's what they'll believe. And in case it's forged and all, obviously they can, reject your visa,
yes,
send you back to a deportation, etc. And those
yes,
things can always happen in future also.
yes,
Sure.
yes,
And
yes,
then
true. Yes,
once you got the visa, I mean, you received it by courier with the passport stamp,
yes, yes.
and that day was your happy day for you, or you were already happy?
Oh no, I already knew, right, that my visa was accepted. So I was happy that day it was accepted rather than when it
Okay.
was delivered.
So
Yes.
once you got this visa delivered at your home, then you had to book your flight tickets. How did you choose your flight?
Actually, I booked my flight tickets before I got the visa confirmation because flight tickets were soaring up. And as I said, like, a lot of people have told me that it's very rare that visa of like good universities would get rejected. So I just booked flight tickets from, I think, one of the portals, one of the travel portals. Compared between, like typical thing that we do, like 3 4 portals, compare the price tag for 4 5 days, book it whenever it's cheapest.
And which flight did you book and how did you fly? What was the route you
I
took?
booked I booked Delta Airlines, and like the cheapest flight that I could get was through a layover in South Korea. So I'm from Jaipur, so I went to New Delhi to South Korea, layover there, over there, and Korea, South Korea to New York. my university is in New York right now.
Okay, okay. And then from the airport to your college was what was your landing and the first experience in US, let's say the first few hours, first few days. How was that?
Uh, so first few hours were a bit. I was a bit scared because, uh, like, fortunately, I had a friend with me who also boarded from New York. I mean, once you get admits, you will form these WhatsApp groups. People going from ultimately, if you are in India, you'll end up going from Mumbai, New Delhi, or Hyderabad, Bangalore, from big cities. So people all around the places would end up going from these big cities. So usually, you'll find people who are going to the same university from, let's say, New Delhi. So I found a few people with me, and you have to find an apartment first before you come to US. That's again a very big challenge. Housing is a big challenge because you are back in India. There are a lot of scams happening. You are just trusting a broker or online website that there's an apartment. You are paying $1,000 of deposit for the apartment. So we did that. We signed a lease and we had an apartment basically when we landed. And it was a night time, so that I think made it a bit more scarier. Uh, we took a cab and came to our apartment and collected keys from a different friend who had collected keys from the broker on our behalf. And at 11 a.m. 11 p.m. we are entering the house and it's all empty. We are figuring out how to, I mean, as simple as turning the lock, because locks in US turn the other way around. So they didn't turn and we were scared that where would we go? Someone told us that it's the other way around. So as simple as that. So
So the other person with you, you both were in the same apartment or it was a different
yes,
apartment?
yes, fortunately, one of my roommates, we booked the flight on the same day.
Okay, okay. So you booked the accommodation together and also the flight together
Yes,
so that at least there is like two people stuck in the lift,
yes,
if not one.
yes, yes, yes.
Then there is always this moral support that, we are
Yeah,
together in this.
yes, sir, that's a very big support actually. Being alone is very scary, for a
So
land.
being alone, so that way, probably just one friend is enough. You don't need too many.
I mean, bigger the group, the more your morale, I guess. If you have a group of five people, no one can touch you. You are confident. But yeah, one is enough. I agree.
And also the taxi will be cheaper because then you share with three,
Oh
four people.
yes, yes, yes. Oh
So
yes,
you
for
took
sure. Yes,
taxi from the airport to your apartment with your luggage and all
yes,
initially?
yes, yes, yes. We took an Uber. Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. So your Uber, like you had like some maybe Wi-Fi internet working at the airport, which you could use for booking Uber.
Yeah, so that's another important question. We specifically took international roaming on my Airtel SIM for first few days, so that till the time I get Wi-Fi or local SIM sorted, I have internet connectivity to call back home that I'm safe or arrange things, Uber and etc. etc. Yeah,
Okay, okay. So
so
that's a useful tip for students that they can at least get one international roaming enabled for few days or few weeks till everything is sorted, so that once they land in the airport, they can book
yes.
Uber, etc., figure out things, figure out maybe the maps, etc. That's good. And so
Even
when
sir,
you landed,
even
yeah, yeah.
sir, forex card, that is something I would add, international forex card, because right when you land, you won't have the card to pay for the Uber as well. So you would need an international forex card till the time you sort your bank account in US.
Instead of the forex card, could you not use your like Visa debit card or like international debit credit card also?
Yeah, you can. They are usually a bit expensive. Like I'm not sure about the international ones, but the domestic Visa and Mastercard, uh, credit cards and debit cards are a bit expensive because of currency conversion. So I went with forex card, but there might be better options.
Okay, sure. So any kind of let's say the plastic
Yes,
money, the credit card,
yes,
forex
yes,
card, and you also
yes,
carried some cash with you.
yes, yes, yes. I got some dollar converted in India itself, which I brought here.
Okay, sure. And how was your initial food adjustment? Like, were you able to adjust food, cook the food? How did you manage for the initial few days, few weeks?
Yeah, so food was a bit challenging, specifically because I'm pure vegetarian. So uh, like getting cooked pure vegetarian is difficult, and like living in India, firstly in hostel life and then in job life, you don't cook specific a lot. so we are not used to cooking. And initial few days were figuring out how many whistles to take on cooker, how for how many minutes to keep it on the gas stove. So we burnt something, and then iterating here and there. In a couple of weeks, we figured out, okay, this is how much water to put in, this is how much to heat. And yeah, I used to cook. So groceries are not an issue if you are in a big city. I'm in New York. I was in New York, so Indian groceries are readily available. Uh, Cooked food is very expensive, so we couldn't afford that initially. So we used to cook. We used to get everything, dals and everything, poha, rice, everything, and used to cook it ourselves. Even
So
we do it right now as well.
you also maybe recommend learning some cooking skills as part of the application process.
Yes, I would say learn it after you get an acceptance. After in
At
the two,
least
three
learn
months.
it after you get the acceptance. We learn it as a basic skill anytime.
Oh yes, yes, that's true. That's true actually.
Sure, sure. So your apartment, your college, how much commute time or how far is it? Was it for you?
So it was 15 to 20 minutes by walk from my college, but it can differ a lot depending on the city and geographic location your university
So
in.
you did consider this commute time as one of the factor while accommodation, because college you have to go
Yes,
probably 6 days a week, whereas other places maybe you have to go once a week maybe.
yes. That's an important factor to consider, and that also becomes a factor while considering your expenses, because place like New York or California are very expensive compared to places like Texas or if your universities. Yeah, that would affect your expense as well.
So in your master, you received some scholarship also.
Not while I got the admit, but like during my first semester, I worked with the professor, and then she later gave me a scholarship in the next sem.
Okay. So in that case, for your visa, and you had to probably show the whole tuition fee as your capacity, right? You couldn't say, yeah,
Yes,
I'm going to go there and find a part-time job and then I'll pay
yes,
this, that. You have
yes,
to pretty much show that you're
yeah,
pretty much capable of paying the entire tuition fee plus the living expense
yeah,
as part of the finance. Good
yes.
point.
But you can also show education loan amount as part of that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, education loan from parents,
Plus,
loan from somebody, because as a
yes,
student, maybe you don't have much money with you, and although you work two
yeah,
years, you may have some saving, but yeah, still may not be
yes,
enough
yes,
to take care of the
yes,
whole.
yes, yes.
Sure. And once you started this work, how did you find this part-time job with the professor, the research RATA kind of thing, I guess?
Yes. So I just worked. I worked with the professor like through a course, and like shared some proposal ideas, research ideas, and then implemented them on my own and took it to her that see, this is one of the research thing that I did, and we can probably take it ahead. And I think she had a spot in her lab, and she was happy with my work, so she gave me this research assistant position, which also gave me a tuition fees, funding, and uh, additional stipend.
Sure, sure. And is there anything like a fixed hourly rate for these things or negotiable usually with the professor?
No, it's not negotiable. Like teaching assistant is usually fixed, and research assistant that depends on the department and sometimes also depends on the professor, but it's not negotiable. They'll give you what they want. You cannot ask more
So you cannot
because
negotiate. It's more like either you take it or leave it. I have a lot of people in
exactly,
like you.
exactly.
And were you also your final year thesis with the same professor or different professor?
No, I'm working with the same professor, but I'm not doing thesis. Like thesis is optional basically in a lot of universities. In mine, it was optional.
Oh, okay, okay. But you had to publish some papers or something. Any
Yes.
what was the criteria for graduation?
Sorry.
I mean, what was the criteria for your graduation? Like you had to finish all
Oh,
the
so I
courses
just have to,
plus some.
yeah. It's just the courses. Just to finish some credits. Like it's like bachelor's BTech. You have to finish some credits, and like if your GPA is good, you graduate.
Okay, okay. And the whole duration is how many months? How many, 4 semesters total, or is it lesser than that?
Mine is 3 semesters. Like some universities in the US offer 3 semesters, some are 4 semesters. Mine is three.
Okay. So you had one summer break in between after 2 semesters, right?
This is the summer break.
Okay. So you are right now doing like a summer job, internship, co-op
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yes, I'm doing an internship right now. Yes.
And how did you find this internship? And when did you realize you should apply for this internship? What are the opportunities available for you? What were the opportunities available to you?
So internship search is like quite hassle in US because in India we usually have the placement department who have this placement drives and internship drives happening in the campus. But it's all on your own. You are all on your own in US. You have to reach out on LinkedIn. You have to see jobs and then apply on the websites, put in your resume, send to different people, reach out to different people. And if you're lucky, you'll get a shortlist and then you go through the interview process. So I would say if you're looking for internships, start as early as possible, like from even before coming here. If you're coming here in August, you are sure that you're coming to XYZ university, start applying in the summer itself for the next summer internship. It's very competitive.
And which company are you working for the summer internship right now?
I'm in Apple right now.
So was this very hard for you to get? What about your classmates and all?
So this year job market hasn't been very good. In the so US job market has been very not very good in last 2 years. Last 2 years has been specifically very bad. So even I got my offer very late in the season. I got it in May or early April. And while typically in 4 years back or pre-COVID era, people used to have 4 or 5 offers by December. So I think market in general is very bad. So it's not fair to comment, I guess.
Sure, sure. And these internships can be paid or unpaid, or like it can vary company to company, or is there a rule or something like that?
Uh, like mostly it's paid. Mostly people do internships to get paid and of course to learn as well. But mostly the motivation is to get paid and pay back the education loan. That's the incentive. So people are looking for, of course, the paid internships. And some people also end up doing unpaid research internships in academic labs.
Sure. Okay, that's good. Good to know. So, what is your career path aspiration for the next few years?
Uh, okay, that's a difficult question, I think. So I graduated in December. Uh, so in the long term, I want to start my own company, uh, probably in India itself. I want to come back after a few years after learning uh, how the technology is built or the trade is done in over here, and then probably come back to India after a few years and start my own company and uh, build it from there.
Sure, sure. So, coming to the last question of our podcast, what advice would you give to the junior yourself or the juniors who are preparing for study abroad applications, etc.? Something which probably you missed, or some things that you didn't miss, but you know that that's like something people should consider for sure, and maybe you see that lacking in most people. Like any pro tips?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Couple of things actually. Firstly, I would say talk to many people. A lot of times it's a lot about information. Uh, there are things, for example, if you watch this podcast, you might know a couple of things that you didn't know before. And if you reach out to a couple of people on LinkedIn, you might hear about some, let's say, new scholarship programs or some specific programs which might be better suited for you, where you can get, where you have high probability of getting an admit. So talk to many people. It's very, very important. Information is the key, especially in this chaotic process. Secondly, I would recommend to start planning early. Uh, in my fourth year, I worked with in my thesis, I worked with a professor from IIT Kharagpur, and that went a long way. The work I did, and that also carried forward after my bachelor during when I was working, and he also gave me a good recommendation, and the research also I think played an important role. So if I hadn't done that in my bachelor thesis in fourth year, a lot of things wouldn't have happened. So I think, yeah, but I agree, it's very difficult to plan ahead a lot in future. But if you are planning for masters, I'd say like have some. If you are in fourth year, look for research opportunities. If you are in job, look for research opportunities apart from your job. Let's say with some academic labs in India or with some professors.
Okay, very much. So thank you very much, Mukur, for having with us and sharing your valuable knowledge to our audience. And I hope we hope that our audience would have learned something from you. And if there is any doubts, etc., you can always connect with Mukur over his through his LinkedIn account. And so take care, Mukur. All the best for your future and your internship. Bye.
Thank you so much, Vishal. Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.
All the best.